There is a current unaffordability crisis happening in the United States right now. Home prices soared over the last few years, and when the interest rate shot up, prices did not come back down, making it even harder for first-time homebuyers. If that's you, you're going to want to watch this video all the way through, because we are going to tell you exactly what you need to know to get into your first home sooner. I'm Elias, and this is Beth, and let's jump right into it.
The first thing that we need to address is the down payment. How much money do you actually need to buy your first home? That's probably your biggest question. Let me put it simply. You do not need 20% down. Many people are adamant that you should save up to be able to put 20% down on your home before you buy. But this just shows they have a rudimentary understanding of debt and real estate. If you watch other YouTube videos, people won't even mention that 3.5% or 5% down payments are an option. Most of these videos conveniently leave this bit of information out, because they are trying to argue that renting is cheaper than owning. In reality, for first-time home buyers, you can put as little as 3.5% down on a home, something we see people do all the time. However, there are some common complaints related to using such a small down payment that we do need to discuss. 1, this is forcing you to take on more debt. 2, it makes your monthly payment higher. And 3, you'll have to pay PMI. Elias, can you explain why a first-time home buyer shouldn't be concerned with any of these 3 things?
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk about them one at a time. First, let's talk about debt. Because of popular names like Dave Ramsey, who talk about how terrible debt is, people tend to think that all debt is equally bad. This is just not true. Of course, if you have a lot of credit card debt, get rid of it as fast as you can. But with real estate, because it goes up in value over time, you actually tend to lose money if you wait to buy. Why? Because if you aren't paying a mortgage, you're paying someone's rent. When you pay a mortgage, yes, you lose some of the money to interest. When you pay rent though, you lose all of it. Also, you don't own the asset, so you get no value appreciation from it. In the metroplex that's growing like Dallas, you can expect 10% appreciation year over year. And that's a lot of money, and it goes all to you since you own it. This leads into the second point. With 3.5% down, your mortgage payment will be higher than it would be if you only put 20% down. Once again, this is a true statement, but if you can handle the monthly payment, is it not worth owning the asset, knowing your money is going towards your own asset instead of throwing your money away to rent? Let's say your rent for a 3-bedroom apartment or a condo is $2,000 a month. If you put 3.5% down on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in, let's say, Louisville, Texas, a North Dallas suburb, with an interest rate of 6.3%, your monthly payment, including taxes, insurance, PMI, principal, and interest, would likely be around $2,400 to $2,600 a month. Is a $600 difference worth missing out on owning a home that you live in? Probably not. By not owning the home you live in, especially in a growing metroplex, you're losing a lot more than $600 a month. You're losing tens of thousands of dollars per year in equity. And these numbers are, of course, estimates. If you are moving to the Dallas area and would like help finding the exact prices for the area you're interested in, then please reach out to us. Our contact information is in the description below. And finally, so many people are concerned about this PMI. This stands for Private Mortgage Insurance. If you put less than 20% down on a home, you have to pay PMI until you reach that 20% ownership threshold. Whether that be by continually paying down your mortgage, your home value appreciating, making extra payments, or a combination of these things. Again, if saving up 20% for a home is your main barrier to entry in the market, then don't let an extra $50 to $100 per month, which is roughly what your PMI would be, get in the way of that. For all the reasons mentioned above, within 1 to 2 years of home ownership in DFW, you will have made all your money back through appreciation and paying down your mortgage.
Thanks, Elias. I hope you now understand the importance of seeing the bigger picture. It isn't as simple as saying rent is cheaper than a mortgage payment. That's a very short-term way of looking at things. So now that we've hopefully convinced you to reconsider a 3.5% down payment for your first home, let's talk actual numbers. How much do you need to afford your first home? This answer is, of course, it depends. But we'll give you a framework so you can do the math for your specific situation. In the Dallas Metroplex, a first-time home buyer should expect to pay anywhere between $200,000 to $350,000 on a 3-bed, 2-bath, depending on location. So we're just going to use $300,000 for our example. It's going to be 3.5% for your down payment, around 2% for closing costs, and let's budget another $1,000 just in case the seller doesn't want to pay for the survey or with some repairs. All in all, that comes out to $17,500. If you can save $1,000 per month, that will take you just over a year to save up. If you can save $2,000 per month, it will take you less than 9 months to get there. For such an important investment as a home, spending a year or less saving up is a small price to pay. We do, however, want to caution you. If you are not in a situation financially to buy a home, it's a bad idea to force it. If you have what we call bad debt and are living paycheck to paycheck as it is, then we do not recommend that you immediately try to buy a house. It is far more important for you to get into a financially healthy situation than pursue homeowning. But here's the truth. If you are currently financially unhealthy and have bad habits, the only thing that will change that is a new desire, a new goal. So make homeowning your goal that forces you to become financially healthy. Work hard at your day job, pay off bad debt, use a budgeting app to track your spending and earnings, and save for that down payment. We keep bringing debt up, so let's dive into some details on what to pay off and in what order. Elias?
Yeah, considering how much debt you pay monthly is important when you think about buying your first home. We don't want to get into the weeds too much, but a lender will look at your existing debt compared to how much you make monthly and decide how expensive of a house you can afford. This calculation is called your DTI, or debt to income ratio. So to help you afford your first home, we want to see you get rid of as much monthly debt as possible. We aren't licensed financial advisors, so this is not advice. But if I had debt, there are two different ways that I could tackle my debt problem. One, I could pay off all my lowest balance debt first. For example, things that are costing me $100 per month and have a total balance of a few $1,000s. Once that is paid off, I take that $100 I am now saving monthly and put it towards other debt. Repeat this process until you've freed up so much money that paying off the higher balance feels quick and easy. This is called the snowball effect because your money is snowballing for you where you're paying off more debt quicker over time. The second method is less satisfying at times because it feels slower, but is objectively the most effective way to do it. You simply pay off the debt with the highest interest rate first. This means credit cards always need to be paid off first. I love credit cards. I use them all the time to get points and airline miles. But if you don't pay them off at the end of the month, the amount of money you spend on interest is absolutely insane. It's often over 20%. You can't even get those kinds of returns from the stock investments. So technically, if you have credit card debt, the single best investment you can make is paying it off. If I'm using this method of high debt first, my next choice would likely be car loans. These are typically higher than student loans. If you have private student loan debt, which could often reach in the tens for interest rate, pay that off first. But if they are all government loans, the car loan is likely higher. With this method, I wouldn't try to pay off all my debt before I bought a house, just the biggest ones. Again, get rid of that credit card debt and never let it happen again.
Next, you might be thinking, well then, how much debt is too much and how do I know when to buy? Well, that's a great question because this often depends on your DTI plus one other factor. What kind of home do you want? In the pre-approval process, something that we recommend every person goes through as soon as they consider buying, your lender will tell you what kind of house you can afford. For the average person, it's going to be less than you think or want. You may be looking at a $500,000 house thinking, I can easily settle for that, only to find out that you barely qualify for a $400,000 home. To you, it's going to seem unlivable. This leads into our next piece of advice: adjust your expectations. The fact is, the term starter home exists for a reason. Homeowning is actually the most consistent method to wealth building among the average American. Americans buy their first home that they don't love, often a 3-bed, 2-bath starter home. But over time, this home appreciates in value. In 5 to 10 years, when their family has grown, so has the value of the home, allowing them to sell it and buy a bigger, nicer home. This is just how the real estate market has worked for the majority of people for decades. But with the prevalence of social media and these internet gurus, people buy into the lie that says you can buy your dream home as your starter home. That only happens if your daddy's got money, and yes, I'm quoting Hamilton. So if you are willing to adjust your expectations, getting into your first home can set you on a path for success. It really is true. Home ownership is the single most important factor for the average American to build wealth. To summarize, once you have talked with a lender and get pre-approved, they will tell you how much more debt you need to pay off before you can afford a home priced at said amount. This will give you a very concrete goal to work towards, something that is really motivating to most people.
Awesome. Those are some great points. We've talked about not being afraid of a low down payment, how much money you would need to bring to the table, what types of debt we would pay off, and how to set a concrete goal for buying your first home. So action steps. Go get pre-approved. This will get the ball rolling and motivate you to get financially fit. And if you don't have a lender, reach out to us. Our contact info is in the description and we will connect you with someone that we trust. Again, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts with us. If you have time, we've got plenty more videos for first-time home buyers that you can watch. See you next time.